Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Friday, June the 8th. I'm Clay Emo at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram, and I'm a founding member of the GLCPC, the good-looking Canucks Positivity Club. Congratulations, Washington Capitals. Congratulations, Alex Ovechkin. Congrats to head coach Barry Trotz, and congrats to the entire organization on your Stanley Cup victory last night. I watched the entire game, was very intrigued, very entertained by it, especially in the start of the third period with Vegas up 3-2, and the back and forth for the first 10 minutes. Actually, that whole period was intense, especially as Washington tied it up and then took the lead late, just because of obviously the stakes that were at play. And you know what's interesting about this final series is I think everyone was rooting for someone, not necessarily against someone. There'd been other years where we look at Vancouver, Boston, or look at any other years where maybe Pittsburgh with Sidney Crosby, that people like him or hate him. There are a lot of years where I think people were either indifferent about who won, or they actually were rooting against a team so that the other team won. But I think this year everyone could choose a team to root for, whether it was the Vegas Golden Knights finishing off their Cinderella story and feeling good for all the players that were coming together to play and played so well all season, or whether it was for Alex Ovechkin and given all his storied career and the fact that he's a likable guy and he's such an advocate for the game. And many people, the majority of people that I've seen that were rooting for Washington, the number one reason is because they're happy for Alex Ovechkin. So I think that was kind of cool, is that once again, that I think every hockey fan that was interested in the series was either rooting for the Knights or for Ovechkin and the Capitals, as opposed to being indifferent or rooting against a team. So that was good. It was exciting. And one observation from the game is I'm not a Lucas Spiza hater. My son Sean, I wouldn't say he's a hater, but he never thought he was that good when he played for the Canucks. And sure enough, last night we saw Spiza make an error, lose Smith Pelly on the game tying goal in the third period when Smith Pelly kind of escaped his check on the boards and went to the net, took it off his skate and put it in to tie the game at 3-3. And then a few minutes later, there was an icing call because of Spiza, so he has to stay on the ice. And then my son Sean looked at me and says, "Watch, Spiza is going to screw up and cost the Vegas Golden Knights the Stanley Cup." On the very next shift, even though Vegas had a chance, they did clear the puck and Spiza could have made it to the bench. He didn't. Maybe he just started his shift prior to the icing call. Regardless, the puck goes back into the boards behind the net. Spiza goes to play it. He looks up and he loses the puck on his skate or in his stick. It bounces off the boards and straight to a Vegas forward who then centers it. And then there's the quick scramble and the puck goes in the net. And then, of course, Washington forward, and then the Washington Capitals scored the game-winning goal right there and then, basically because Spiza firstly iced it, and then secondly misplayed the puck behind his own net. So, we never wish ill will on a player, especially an ex-Canuck, but it was kind of, interesting and fitting that my son Sean called it about a minute before it happened, and then I put that on Twitter, of course, and it got a lot of likes, not because we're trying to make fun of Spiza, but because it was a good prediction by my son Sean. One other thing I wanted to talk about is, there's a great YouTuber out there, Louis from Las Vegas. His channel has grown a lot during this playoff run, and he deserves it. He's been working really hard. He even bought some new equipment, and he's been doing some really, really good and entertaining videos. And he got to go to last night's game. And basically I sent him a message saying, "Hey man, take it from experience. There is nothing worse than seeing the opposing team lift the Stanley Cup on your home ice." So I was thinking about Louis as the game was going on. I think a lot of us YouTubers were thinking about Louis as the game went on. And basically, in our YouTube group on Twitter, people started saying, "Hey, take care of Louis. I hope you're okay, Louis. Make sure you're safe, Louis." And sure enough, when Washington won, Louis had to watch Ovechkin and the rest of the Capitals parade around the ice. And I won't talk about Louis. You can look up his channel, Vegas Golden Knights coverage, and you can get his reflections. All I know is it brought me back to 7 years ago when, yes, I was at Game 7 when the big, bad, ugly Boston Bruins defeated the Vancouver Canucks 4-0 at Rogers Arena. I was with my season ticket holder buddy, Mike, of course. And by the way, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday, Mike. Thank you for your friendship. And thank you for bringing me into this wonderful Canucks ride 8 years ago. So yeah, that was my first season as a season ticket holder for the Canucks. The 2010-2011 season. And what a season it was. And that finals, we all know the Canucks went through Chicago in 7, went through Nashville in 6, went through San Jose in 5. It was going lower, 7-6-5. And then we hit Boston. Won the first 2 games, 2 very close games, 1-0 and 3-2 in overtime, game 1 and 2. Then we got shellacked in Boston, 8-1 and then 5-2. I think the score was, no, 8-1 and then something, because game 5 then went to Vancouver, another 1-0 game. So all the games in Vancouver were 1-goal games. Then we lost 5-2 in game 6. So I can't remember what the score was game 4. I'm sure we lost by 3 or 4. And then it came to game 7. And then Boston was the better team, the stronger team. They were getting better goaltending, Thomas over Luongo. And Boston won that game 4-0. So then Mike and I, we made our way down to meet some other friends who were in a different part of the arena. And we were at the lower bowl watching Gary Bettman, watching Zdeno Chara, watching Tim Thomas accept the Conn Smythe Trophy. And that was pretty tough. You know, after you give appreciation to your home team for the season that they had, and it was tough. Hamhuis was injured. Kessler was playing on one leg. Sedins were worn down. We know all the narratives. But in essence, to watch the Boston Bruins parade around the ice, cheering, happy, and you get it. Their family's there. They work just as hard as the Canucks. Obviously, they're the better team. So ultimately, they deserve the cup. I'm certainly not saying Boston didn't deserve it, but I am saying it was very hard to watch them celebrate on home ice. On our home ice. I don't think the players care. They don't care. It's nice to win at home. In a perfect world, if they had a choice, I'm sure they'd say they want to win at home to celebrate with their fans. But ultimately, you don't want to risk losing a game and losing a series just because you want to win at home. You take care of business as soon as you can, and you don't worry about actually the fans when I'm sure you're celebrating, especially a guy like Ovechkin who's waited so long to win the Stanley Cup. Obviously, we knew what happened after the Canucks lost that game. We don't want to revisit that. All I will say is my phone started to blow up. I was getting texts and messages and emails, and then my wife, lovely wife Gail, called and said, "Clay, don't leave the arena yet." And of course, we didn't know what was going on. I said, "Why? What's going on?" And she said, "Well, there's starting to be violence and rioting in the city." So for another day, and I've used this in all my talks to young people about making good choices. But another day I'll talk about my experience. But I don't want to revisit that now. But it just kind of tainted the experience. Yeah, losing the game 7 was one thing, but then having to face the rioting and the violence in the city streets was another thing. Okay, I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole. Not emotional or anything. 8 years later, just reflecting on it, especially as I watched the end of last night's game. So Canucks fans or hockey fans, leave a comment below. Are you happy for Ovechkin? Were you truly rooting for Washington or Las Vegas? And Canucks fans who were at the arena or watching on TV, what were your memories of that game 7, Boston versus Vancouver? Leave a comment below, only if you're not going to make me more depressed. All right, have a great day. Leave a comment below. Like I said, I love to reply and read and react to it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give this video a like. I'd appreciate it. And most importantly, have a great day. God bless. Congrats, Washington. Happy birthday, Mike. And go Canucks go.